Hello everyone, welcome back to the Holocron. This is part 3 of the 2021 Darth Loquitur Beginner's Guide to Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes mobile game. In this, we're going to talk about info for the strongest start. We've talked about how the game looks at the beginning, the character squads that we're going to build, the importance of fleets, some other critical information to help us get going, and now we're going to finish it off with a lot of detail on how to spend crystals or cash, prioritizing characters and gear, how that's going to determine how fast your account develops and whether or not you can get ahead of other people. It's also going to talk about everything down to the detail of spending energy and spending the currency in your shops. And we're going to discuss 4 options going forward on how to build your account once you've started on this basic foundation. As you play to 85, the most effective way you can spend crystals in the game is to refresh the energy types. Now, the first 3 refreshes will cost either 50 or 100 for Cantina, and after the first 3, the cost escalates. If you're a free-to-play player or you're playing for low money, you're going to just use the crystals that you have available, and you're going to do those basic 3 refreshes. You're not going to go past that. If you're a player who's willing to spend and you're willing to use your crystals on energy past the first 3 refreshes, that's possible. But at that point, there is some gear that's available for purchase that becomes more efficient if you're buying the whole gear piece than if you would do the 100 crystal refreshes to farm it. So just be aware of that. The cost resets every time at your normal reset time. So if you spent the 3 refreshes at 50, that does reset with the account reset at whatever time that is. So to prioritize, we talked about the Vulture Droid, and the first 25 crystals that you get are going to be used to refresh that node once a day so you can farm it 10 times. Beyond that, you're going to want to do a regular energy refresh for the light side and dark side. Past that first refresh, I do believe that 1 refresh in the Cantina is really the most effective use of crystals that you can have, especially at lower levels. Once you get past that first Cantina refresh, then you go back to a light side, dark side energy refresh, then a mod, then a fleet refresh, and then you go through the cycle again with refreshing a 3rd time on regular energy, another Cantina, like that. So depending on how many crystals you have access to, a lot of that's going to depend on your fleet placement in Fleet Arena to get these crystals to be able to do it. But my vote is always to spread it out across the energy types rather than just focus on one type of energy and say, well, I'm building characters, so I'm not going to refresh mod energy. Well, if you're spending crystals building characters, those characters are going to need mods. You need to get around to your mod energy refreshes as well. But for the first 2 especially, reset the energy, get that Vulture Droid farm 10 times, and then do your Cantina reset, and then use your energy for whatever makes sense from there. Cash spending. We talked about the hyperdrive bundle, and in the past, there's always been separate guides for what to do if you're a free-to-play player or whether you're a hyperdrive player. After a whole lot of discussion with the Dark Council over on the Discord, we've talked about it at length, and building a different guide for the hyperdrive bundle no longer makes sense. With the changes that they've implemented to the early game characters, with the changes that they've implemented to double shard drops, it really is in your best interest to do exactly the same thing, whether you buy the hyperdrive bundle or not. So we're going to talk about this from now on. On this channel, we're going to refer to the hyperdrive bundle as the best gear pack that's available in the game. It gets you to level 85. It gets you a bunch of characters, gear, money, credits. Gets you a lot of stuff in the game. But if we go back and we look at what we're recommending, the most efficient start, the Geos, the Jedi, the Phoenix, and that Empire team, that's still what you should build as soon as you get the hyperdrive bundle. So you're going to do the exact same thing. You're just going to be way further ahead. You're going to have those characters already at 5 stars in a lot of cases, and you're going to build them up from there. The Geos don't come with the hyperdrive bundle, but we're still going to do the exact same thing with the Geos, and we're still going to build the Geo fleet to dominate Fleet Arena. That's what we're going to do. So now with that in mind, if you get crystals out of the hyperdrive bundle or credits, again, use them for the same things we talked about. We're not going to go crazy and level a bunch of characters up to 85 and do all kinds of nonsense because we have the hyperdrive bundle. We're going to follow the plan exactly as it's written. We're just going to be further ahead because of the hyperdrive bundle. All right, we're still going to put the Phoenix at 7 stars. We're still going to build the Geos, and then we're going to go into the next steps that we talk about in the next steps video. Cash spending. There is a journey guide for the Falcon that has a Hound's Tooth pack for $25. If you're going to build the Hound's Tooth someday, that's a very good investment for your money early game. I'm a fan of purchasing crystals for energy refreshes. That's the most efficient use of crystals in the game, is those energy refreshes. So you just buy crystals and do that. You have to be patient. If you want to spend a lot of money on the game, there's different ways to do that. Any method of buying shards is very inefficient. So if you look at the amount of crystals that it takes you to buy shards versus having the patience to just farm them, you're always going to come out ahead if you have patience. However, if you really feel like you want to accelerate the game and buy shards, then go into the journey guide for Jedi Knight Revan and Darth Revan, and those guides have character packs that you can buy, shards for the characters that are required to unlock those Revans, and you can use those shards to accelerate into Jedi Knight Revan or Darth Revan. And it's not efficient. It costs you a lot of money, but it's a way that you can just throw $300 at the game, instantly have some of the best characters available, and dominate Squad Arena if you want to do that. Priorities for the shops. So now that we've talked about spending, regardless of what kind of spender you are, we're going to take all the information that we put down so far. We're going to bring it all together in kind of a day-by-day guide of how to farm the game and what we're going to work on. So for regular energy, the very first thing we're going to do, we're going to get that Vulture droid 10 times. At account reset time, we're going to farm that node, reset it, farm it again. We're going to work on Gideon as the first priority behind that Vulture droid. Getting shards for Jedi Knight Anakin is also a priority. We're going to want to do that every day. And then you're going to want to go to your character tab and look for what gear your characters need to get to the next gear tier. And then you're going to spend on that. That's going to be a priority. And again, just as general recommendations, if you get extra energy and you don't know what to do with it, light side 6E hard is a good node to farm, and 1F normal light side is a good node to farm. If you just have energy to spend and you don't know where to spend it there. You won't regret it. Also, note that when it's the guild activity for hard node day, there's also Dooku, Old Ben, Boba Fett has a hard node, and we're going to get Boba Fett out of the Cantina store, but on the day when it's a hard node for the quest for the guild activities, it's not a bad idea to farm some extra hard nodes. For Cantina energy, that's one of our most precious resources. We're going to have to work with this a lot, and like I said, you're going to look to get Cantina refreshes in every now and then whenever you can. We need Hera and Ezra. I would bring them both to 6 stars as early as I can in the game. Again, trying to get good participation in Galactic War and Squad Arena. Then I would work on Geo Spy and Geo Soldier and work on getting them to at least 5 or 6 stars. Then you go back and finish out Hera and Ezra to 7 stars, and then you finish out the Geos to 7 stars, because by then you're going to need them for fleet. Extra, there also is Anakin and Moff Gideon. And if you do get in enough Cantina refreshes to get these characters all to the right star level early, you can farm Anakin and Gideon out of the Cantina. At level 83, the Geo Brute Alpha will be available in the Cantina. And make sure that as soon as you hit level 83, that you prioritize that Geo Brute Alpha, get him unlocked at 4 stars as soon as possible, get him leveled up to 85 right away, and get that Zeta on Queen's Will. It really is a game-changing Zeta. It gets you the Geo Brute right at the start of the combat. So that Zeta is really going to be worthwhile, and the Geos are going to be a great early game team for you. So that's the priorities for the Cantina energy itself. For the fleet energy, pretty quickly you're going to have access to Bastila Shan out of the fleet nodes, and you'll have access to Sun Fac. There's a node with Sun Fac's ship, I think on the second level of hard nodes in fleet. So we're going to want to farm both of them, and then we're going to want to work on gear out of fleet. And again, if we have extra fleet energy, you can always farm on fleet normal 3C that has materials that are good for a lot of different things in the game. Has syringes on it that are needed for a lot of early game characters, and also has some gold gear on it that's used for finishers for relics, as well as breaking down for Zinbittle cards for relics. So that 3C node is something that you could farm a lot and you'll never regret. So if you don't know where to put your fleet energy, that's it. For the Cantina shop out of the shipments, we're going to get Chopper to 5 stars as soon as possible. We are going to want to unlock Boba and Ahsoka and start working on Boba Fett a little bit. Again, for that credit heist, we need him to be at least competent to help out Nute Gunray. And then as soon as you get them unlocked and get Boba running a little bit, then you want to go back and finish out Chopper to 7 stars. Then circle back around, work on Boba, and then circle back around and work on Ahsoka. In that order. So Chopper to 5 stars, do the unlocks, finish Chopper, finish Boba, finish Ahsoka. For the Squad Arena store, same kind of a thing. You got to split a little bit between Kanan and Nute Gunray. You're going to need Kanan for the Phoenix team. You're going to need Nute started and going for the credit heist. And then Tarkin is over there also. So he's not as critical to get to 7 stars. But once you get Kanan to 7, get Nute Gunray to 7 stars, it won't take you long to get Tarkin to 7 stars as well. You should have him at 5 stars at least from the quests that the game gives you for the capital ships. In the guild store, like I said, remember we're going to save our currency for the rare gear. Reference that slide from earlier if you don't know what that is. In the Galactic War store, we've got to get both Zeb and Poggle early game. When the ships unlock, we really want to just be using the Galactic War store for ships. We want to prioritize that very highly. So get your Zeb and Poggle going. Get Zeb to 7 stars. Get Poggle to at least 4 or 5 stars. It should be no problem to get them there by the time you get to level 60 and start getting fleets unlocked in this Galactic War store. Once those ships are in the store, you're really not going to want to go back and spend on characters. So the Zeb needs to be 7 stars, and if your Poggle's not at 7 stars, he's not a pilot. He might have to sit and wait, and you got to get those ships built up. Those Geo ships are the top priority. You need Ahsoka's ship out of here too, but only to 5 stars, and Poggle can wait if he needs to. In the fleet store, it is critical from the very start of the game, as soon as you have access to the Fleet Arena store, you have to be smart about how you use this currency. Now I'm going to talk you through a method of saving the currency and then spending it on a schedule to make sure that you don't miss the critical stuff that shows up in the shop. So we're going to save, and maybe the first couple days that we're in the Fleet Arena, we just save the currency. There's ships in here for Geo Spy and Geo Soldier. We're not going to buy them unless we have over 3,000 of this currency in the bank. Once we have 3,000 of this currency in the bank, we can buy these ships, no problem. Don't buy those ships once you go below 3,000. If you're at 2,800, leave those ships alone. Now, when you're at 2,800, you're looking for Sun Fac and his ship. Anytime that Sun Fac and the Sun Fac ship show up in the fleet store, you always want to have that currency in the bank to get those character shards, get those ship shards before they disappear. They're a little more rare. Then you've got Darth Vader and Grievous that show up very rarely. Grievous shows up perhaps twice a week, 3 times a week, something like that. Grievous and Vader are on the same rarity. They're on the same slot in that store. And you don't want those guys showing up and you to not have currency to buy them. That's very frustrating. Don't frustrate yourself. So save up. Only buy Geos if you're over 3,000. Buy Sun Fac until 1,200. And then save that last 1,200 in the bank to make sure that you always have currency for Grievous and Vader. General Grievous is going to be the pilot for the Malevolence, so even if you don't intend to build the Separatist droid team early in the game, even if you don't care about General Grievous, you still want to get his shards out of here. You need the character to be good and to be leveled up for that Malevolence capital ship that we're going to build once we get that. Make no mistake, all the stuff we've talked about with farming and shops, this page represents your priorities. You're working on those fleet, you're working on the ships, getting that Vulture droid and the Geo ships running. Grand Moff Tarkin and his executrix, the characters down at the bottom. And then right below your pilots, we also have Moff Gideon. He is good enough and important enough to the early game that we're putting Moff Gideon in this list of priorities, even though he's not a pilot. There's your top 5 ships to be working on and your top 5 characters to be working on. If you've put any of this stuff on the shelf and said, well, I'll work on it later, do not do that. Maximize these 5 ships and these 5 characters all the way through your early game, and you will dominate that fleet, and you'll get currency to help you in other areas of the game. So what's next? Sometime around level 60, maybe between 60 and 70, that's about 30 days of play, maybe a little longer than 30 days, but you've got your first month. You've been learning how to play the game. You've been smart about how you're spending your currency in the shops. And now you need to figure out what you're going to do next so you can start picking out your next set of characters to work on. Even after you pick your next steps, just remember, you've got to keep working on this priority screen. This priority screen is not going to drop off. You're just going to add more stuff onto what you're building beyond those first 4 teams that we talked about. You still need the Jedi for events, so you're still going to want to work on the Jedi team a little bit. You still need Empire for events. The Phoenix are truly discontinued around Gear 8. Once you get that 7-star Thrawn, there's no reason to continue working on those Phoenix. For the next steps, we're going to put together a series of video, and we're going to call them the Gladiator, the Senator, the Emperor, and the Techno Union. And a lot of people have debated the question, should I go for gas? Should I go for Malik? Should I go for a Galactic Legend right away? What's the right thing? And after a lot of discussion with my Dark Council, we thought about it a lot. We talked about it. We made up spreadsheets, tried to optimize different paths. And at the end of the day, these different paths are good for different things in the game. So I think it makes a lot more sense to represent what the target is for what you want to do in the game, and then we're going to present a holocron on how to achieve that. So the Gladiator path is the PvP path. If you like Grand Arena game modes, if you really want to get into that squad arena and get a higher score over there, if you want to win in territory wars for your guild, playing against other players, player versus player, PvP, is the Gladiator mode. And for us, that's going to look a lot like building Revans, building Malik, going into a Galactic Legend. And we're going to detail that out, what that looks like. It's good for territory wars and guilds, and it's good for broad gameplay, and it'll get you access to a lot of stuff in Conquest and different game modes. So we'll kind of present that. The Senator, this is the guild path. So if you really want to do well in guild events, you want to do well in the raids, you want to do well in territory battles, score a lot of points for your guild, we've got a path that's going to do that with the right characters and the right build order, and we're going to talk you through those next steps. The Emperor, if you just want to dominate the game and win, in order to do that, you have to have a Galactic Legend. The Galactic Legends are going to be how you participate in the squad arena. It's going to be what wins in the raids. It's going to be, the Galactic Legends at the top of the game. And if you want to be there, you got to build one. We're not going to recommend to rush a Galactic Legend in the sense that you just start the game and start building the characters and go straight for the Galactic Legend. You miss out on too much of the currency and the gear that you can get from events. We don't want to do that. We want to build this good foundation that we've already talked about in order to get the events going. And then we want to build a Galactic Legend on top of that while we're getting currency and getting gear from those events and from a good guild. The Techno Union is the income strategy. That's where you say, okay, I really want to optimize what I can get out of assault battles, out of conquest game mode, out of the Galactic Challenges that come up in the events. I really want to do well in those. What does that look like? Because once I get all of that gear, all of that income coming in from those everywhere that's got really good rewards, then any Galactic Legend or character that I want to build is going to be that much easier with all this stuff that I have. It's sort of the investment strategy, right? It's the money up front earns you more in the back end. So again, there's specific teams that you would want to build here. You would want to focus on the right tags for your characters to make sure that you can just get the maximum participation and get the rewards out of these events. Those are the 4 paths that we're going to make holocrons about. It doesn't mean that it's right or wrong, and it doesn't mean that there's not other things that you can do in the game. We're just trying to give people ideas of what you would be building for, what the purpose is, and then how to achieve it. So timelines for a new player, in the first 30 days, you're going to get to about level 60. Somewhere between level 55, maybe if you're a very efficient player and you've done a lot of Cantina refreshes, maybe you get to 65. Then you'll be a little bit ahead of the curve, but about level 60 after 30 days. And as you gain levels, it slows down. By the end of 45 days, we want to be somewhere in that level 65 to 75 range. We've opened up the fleet, and we want to get good placement in fleet right away. We want to target that top 20 and get up there in fleet as soon as we can. In squad, we don't care. Top 500, top 1,000 is fine with us. Don't go chasing the squad arena. Chase the fleet. After 60 days or so, 2 months in, somewhere between level 70 and 80. 90 days in, somewhere between level 75 and 85. And by 120 days, most players should have been able to reach level 85. I restarted the game recently on my alt account. It took me 95 days to get to level 85. So that gives you a little bit of a benchmark. But this is a rough timeline. If you're a casual player and you don't get in there every day, then these timelines may change. There is a strategy where some players take a break at level 20 and they just spend on Cantina refreshes and they sit below level 27 before the squad arena opens up to try to get ahead on their Phoenix team. That's something that could also delay your account if you want to do it. Again, I'm a fan of just playing the game and leveling up as fast as you can. The game starts at level 85. That's where a lot of the good game modes and things open up. So delaying your arrival at level 85 for some slight advantage that you might get doesn't seem very appealing to me, but it's something that players may choose to do. In terms of gameplay, just understand this is a long-term collector style game. You're always going to be short on credits and gear. You're always going to need better mods. This is the same slide we showed earlier, right? It's the same for everybody else. Get on a fun Discord with a fun guild. Build a sense of community that way. And have fun collecting your favorite Star Wars characters. You know, if you're not having fun, if you're not collecting, then this, may not be the game for you. You know, it's a game that you play for years. It's not a game that you play for 2 weeks and try to get ahead of everybody else. So that's it for this series of holocrons. Remember, we do intend to make a 4th video that follows up on these, that will answer any questions that people might have and help more newer players understand how to get this foundation going, stabilize their account, and launch into the future of a great Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes account. Thank you for watching. Like this video if you haven't already. Get out your lightsabers and crush that like button. That's what it's for. That's how we do it. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Thank you for your time, and I will see you in the next holocron.